Within 6 weeks of buying our print equipment, we were making $20,000 a month with no prior experience, all the way to the point where we even lost $6,000 in one day. Somewhere around like the late 2019 and early 2020, I was trying to do my own clothing brand, right? And so I was doing some research on finding print shops around the area in Chicago locally that can do like prints quickly, because I had ideas, but I needed to get them printed. But I also didn't want to wait 2 to 3 weeks. I couldn't find anyone locally who would be able to kind of work with me and do quick turnarounds on stuff like that. I ended up kind of doing more research and thought about like, why don't I just do it myself, buy the equipment and also make money, because I can do it for other people at the same time. So I was doing some research. I ended up finding Richie's channel, which he's actually a really cool guy. And so his channel kind of brought me the idea when I was researching DTG, screen printing, just like which equipment is going to be the best one. He kind of like was hyping up this white toner transfer printer, and so it was like this whole new thing that was kind of happening where people weren't going with DTG because it was so expensive to maintain, and you can't leave it off for this and that, and you have to do all these steps every day just to make sure that it doesn't break. The difference between DTG and screen printing and white toner was that you could print quickly, you could do multiple prints, you could do color prints, you could do a lot of stuff on it. And so it was very attractive. And so I decided to research a little more about it. I was kind of like falling in love. I kind of researched the whole process and I was like, oh, this is perfect. This is exactly what we need. Like, it was low cost in terms of maintaining the machine and what we needed to do every day just to get it up and running. It's literally you just turn it on and put the sheets in there and it prints. The one that I was looking at, because they had different options, but I ended up going for like the best of the best. So it was more of like their higher end, faster printer and stuff like that. And it was the iColor 800W. And that one was retailing for like $10,000. Now, at that point, I'm just like, this is going to be a big investment. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to put the time and I'm going to try to do something and to make the money back. Plus, it'll be cool once I start making my own clothes and try all that stuff. So I pulled the trigger, ended up getting some financing for it and bought the machine. And that printer was huge, to be honest. It was at least like 3 to 4 feet. It was kind of like at my hip level when it was standing up. And it was cool. We started learning it. I was watching YouTube videos, started to learn how to use the program. First couple of weeks that we got it, we were just playing around with it and starting to do a couple like side projects, test projects, cheap projects for people. I also ended up joining Richie's Discord group because he had this whole thing where everybody could join Discord, people that are interested in a white toner printer or are just printers in general. And so, yeah, there was like a bunch of people in there that had their own print shop or were just starting, or people interested in a white toner but wanted to talk to other people about it, stuff like that. So it was a cool little community. I was there a lot of times just chatting it up with people in the community, trying to see like what they were doing, how, like what they're struggling with, stuff like that. This next thing that happened kind of changed everything dramatically. I remember I was on my phone at one point. I saw that, I was getting notifications of the chats and stuff like that. And I saw this one guy, it was a random user, never seen him or heard him before in the community. Like, he wasn't active on there really. Like, it seemed like he just joined. And I remember he posted something about, hey, I'm expanding my business. I'm looking to find someone who can fulfill 6,000 shirts a day. This was, again, in the middle of the night, like at 11, 12, maybe 1 in the morning. I don't remember really. But I remember seeing that. And so I decided to send him a personal message, a direct message. And I kind of told him like, hey, if you're interested, I just got the iColor 800W. It's like the fastest production machine. So I can probably knock out a lot of those shirts for you. And didn't think much of it, Next morning, I remember Richie also saw that and kind of made a whole big post like, guys, I don't know if you guys realize this, but there was a huge opportunity, like this guy just posted and I just talked to him and this guy's like the real deal. And so me and Richie got on a call because he was going to start working with him, but I didn't get a response really. Like, I was actually going back and forth with the guy, asking him like how many shirts, and then, he never replied at the end. But when I saw that Richie was about to start working with him, I kind of messaged him and I was like, hey, do you know if the guy still needs some more help? Because, I kind of messaged him and I wanted to see if, maybe he can send me some orders. And Richie talked to him and he ended up kind of like putting me on. So he ended up calling me back and we talked. So he ended up saying like, yeah, all right, let's try you out. We're going to put you on this. Like, how many orders can you handle a day? And at that moment, again, like, I just had the machine. I wasn't really doing high volume orders like this. So I was like, how many orders can we handle a day? So I literally just put out a random number, not knowing what it entails, like how much work or time we need to make that happen. So I think I told him like we could do 500 shirts a day. Before you know it, like within the next 3 days, he sent me a list of all the designs that he needed, and it was like 500 or 600 orders, right? Richie helped us work out like, we should get the deposits first, because of course we weren't going to upfront the money to buy the garments. So we worked out the deposit, and so he submitted the first payment, and we were just rocking and rolling from there. And I remember too, like going on the websites and going to these suppliers and wholesalers and looking at the shirts that we needed. So we placed the order, and then the boxes started coming in. We had UPS drop off these boxes and stack them up, and we had to bring them upstairs because we were doing all of this from our apartment. Like we didn't have a storefront, we had nothing like that. This was supposed to be just a side hustle. And I remember looking at the boxes like, that's a lot of shirts, and this is just 500 for one order. The boxes started stacking up, the shirts started stacking up. We started like creating designs, printing them out, and started pressing them, right? It was very fast that we realized that we couldn't do ourselves. So it was just me and my partner at the time that were trying to manage all of this print stuff. As soon as the shirts started coming in and we started pressing them, we were like, oh, we're gonna need more help, we're gonna need more presses, because we are not gonna be able to fulfill 500 shirts like fast in order for us to make this even possible. So we went out to go buy 2 more heat presses, and then we started like hitting up our friends and saying like, hey, does anybody have some free time? Like we're looking for extra help. We're willing to pay $15 an hour, which to be honest wasn't much, but they were friends, and so they kind of understood. Pretty easy job, just repetitive stuff, just press the shirts. And so we started getting our friends on there, and so it was like crazy. Like I might even still have a video of me walking through the apartment as we had a couple friends in there, literally in this small apartment with all these shirts everywhere and boxes stacked up everywhere, and everyone was just like in an assembly line process. Just like one guy was pressing the shirts, the other guy was passing it, the other guy was grabbing the designs from the printer. And it was so interesting. Like we were trying to create these systems and processes to make it faster. And so every day we tried something new, like, oh, let's try this instead, let's do that instead. And it was changing constantly, but we were just trying to make sure that we can handle all these orders that we kept saying that we could. It was just one of those things where I just like to, if I say I'm gonna do something, like we just got to make it happen, no matter what it takes. So we thought we had it figured out. Money was good. We kept getting more and more orders, and we were trying to fulfill them, like doing our thing, having our friends help us. We literally just went from just getting a printer, right, spending $10,000, and now we're making like $20,000 a month helping this guy fulfill all these orders. So I thought, life was great. This is awesome. And then reality sinks in really fast, right? Because we didn't really have a lot of experience. We started getting like backed up on work. Yeah, I think we were probably underestimating the amount of work that in time that you need in order to fulfill this type of orders. All of our orders started getting backed up. And so we had maybe 500 to 800 orders that needed to be sent out within a week or less. I think actually it was just a couple days, because these orders were specifically for like Father's Day and Mother's Day. They needed to be sent out by a specific date in order for them to be guaranteed delivery date for the customers to arrive before Father's Day or Mother's Day. I remember we were getting really close to the deadline. Me and my partner were trying to figure out like, what can we do to make this faster? Like we just got to work longer. Like we just can't go to sleep. We just had to make these orders. Like, we got to keep rocking and rolling. And I remember we had like a couple of miscommunications and stuff like that with me and my partner about like the systems and processes, and no, this way is better, we should do it this way, no, instead of that. And so it was just, again, it was a mess. What ended up happening was there was a big shipment that we thought we made it on time to deliver it to USPS, but we didn't. So there was like 400 orders specifically that didn't make it on time. Now the guy, our vendor, the guy who was sending us our orders, he started hitting us up and he started chewing us out. Like, hey, I'm starting to get people message me about like their order didn't get there on time, this and that, like they're not gonna get there on time. It was a mess. I've never been through an experience where I kind of messed up, I effed up, and so I remember I hopped on a phone call with Richie because I wanted to kind of get his advice, because Richie, was running a print business for like 10 plus years. And so he has experience with this type of stuff. And so I ended up hopping on a phone call with him and asking him like, hey, this is a situation, like we effed up. A lot of orders didn't make it on time. Like, what do you think we should do? Like, how do you think we should handle this stuff with this guy? Richie was, pretty calm. He knew like we were new. He knew that I was younger and all this stuff. And so he was like, very understanding on like my situation. Courteously and professionally told me like, this is what you need to do. Like, you need to either tell him this or that, or, or kind of like refund him or, for some of the money. And I was like, he hasn't paid us for it yet. So I was like, maybe, I guess what I have to do is like for all those orders that didn't make it on time, I'll just say like, hey, you don't have to pay us for that. And so he kind of talked about it. He was saying that, you know, you don't have to do the full thing. You can maybe say like a percentage of it. But I was like, you know, you might be right, but for me, it just doesn't feel right, you know? And so I wanted to make this right for the guy. So that's ultimately what I ended up doing. It was like a $6,000 payment that we're supposed to go to us, which also covers like a portion of that was supposed to cover our merchandise, you know, that we already paid for. And so I told the guy, like, look, like, we're very sorry, we effed up. We had miscommunications, like, you know, and so in order for us to own up to this, you don't have to pay us that invoice, you know that invoice of $6,000. Like, yeah, don't pay us that at all. Like, we're gonna own up to this and make it right for you. So that's what we did. And so I ended up eating up the $6,000 in expenses and plus stuff that we were supposed to get paid, because we were already paying our friends, our subcontractors at the time, like, you know, their money. So we lost $6,000 because of that, and it was intense, you know. And so I kind of already knew too when that happened. I was like, you know, this is probably going to be the last time that we're going to get these orders or that we're going to work with a guy, because obviously he's probably not going to trust us anymore. Yeah, but the craziest thing was that guy is really smart. He was able to sell all of his merchandise, and so because he learned so much from that year, he ended up buying his own print equipment and pretty much was running his own ads and fulfilling his own orders with his own team and employees. So kind of, you know, we already kind of anticipated that we weren't going to get any more work from him, but, you know, that kind of solidified it for sure. But it was such an interesting experience, like, and it was quick. This was all within 2 to 3 months. But yeah, but at the end, it was still, like, again, it was still such an amazing experience just to go through. And even losing the money was like a great learning lesson for me. This is the way that you grow, because the more mistakes you do, of course, like, the better you're going to get. And now I know that I got to be more realistic and I got to figure stuff out beforehand before making any type of proposals like that, just right off the bat. Pretty much right after that, we kind of wrapped up the business for the print stuff, because there was actually another opportunity that kind of landed in our lap right after all of this happened. And that story is even crazier. Like, it's something that I wouldn't have imagined happened, and it's something that kind of like went totally viral in Chicago. And so I'm gonna save that for another video, but that's gonna wrap up today's video. If you guys are interested in following me on my journey to becoming a digital content creator, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon. I started documenting every move and action I'm taking so far, so I can share it with you guys in hopes that you guys can learn from it, or maybe even share your own experiences. I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.